Land Use Board, and in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by posting on the City Hall Bulletin Board and by notification to our newspapers of record. And I asked Donna to please make this announcement part of the public record. And if you would, Donna, a roll call, please.
Mayor Jim Patty. Here. Mr. Peterson.
Here.
Mr. Timbers, Mr. Walker,
Here.
Mr. Garth,
Here.
Dennis McKenna,
Here.
Michael McKenna,
Here.
Mr. Molyneux,
Here.
Flores, Mr. Keener,
Here.
Mr. Frick,
Here.
Mr. McGowan,
Here.
Carol Bolo, and Secretary here.
Thank you, Don. We have minutes of April 16. Make a motion. Second. Second. Discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Minutes are approved, thank you. No resolutions. New business Jersey Grown LLC, 1401 Raymond Avenue. Request waiver site plan review and approval, conditional use approval. How are you? At the point, so we can reporting.
Variance,
Please.
to this,
This, that's condition.
yes, so we don't need. So everybody can go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, my name is Tom Dorsey. I represent the applicant, Jersey Grown LLC. With me tonight is Constantine Gus,
We don't need one of the
Charlitas, who's the managing member.
Who's alternate
We're here
number?
this evening seeking two things from you. One is conditional use
So we don't. need-
to permit Jersey Grown to operate a Class 1 cannabis cultivation facility at a site in your industrial park at 1401 Brennan Avenue, in the building known as 2B. The second thing that we're seeking from you is a site plan waiver. I'll explain why we think that that's appropriate. We currently have an application pending before the city clerk and the city solicitor and the city engineer for the city cannabis license. We have the state license. One of the submission requirements for that is land use board approval. So that's why we're here before you to satisfy that. In speaking with your engineer and also the city attorney, there really are only two conditions to satisfy for the conditional use for this application. One is we have to demonstrate to you that the site is located in the industrial park where the Class 1 cannabis cultivation operation is a permitted conditional use. And the second is to demonstrate that we have the appropriate state license. So 1401 Raymond Avenue is in the industrial park, satisfies the condition. Jersey Grown has been issued a valid Class 1 cultivator license by the state of New Jersey under license number C 0000095, valid until 3/12/2025. I included a copy of that in the exhibit package. So with respect to satisfying the condition of use standards, we do. The reason why we're asking for the site plan waiver is because this property, 1401 Bremen Avenue, is fully developed. There are 3 warehouse buildings on the property, each of which has their own parking areas. They were designed that way. And this board granted site plan approval for that facility under resolution number 7 of 2006. I included that in the exhibit package as well. So there are no exterior site improvements that are being proposed or necessary to operate the facility. Everything that's going to be done is going to be inside. The only changes to the site are inside the structure itself. So under those conditions, we feel that a site plan waiver will be appropriate in this particular situation. That's really all we have.
Ryan?
Sure. I just wrote an email to Donna and asked her to distribute it, explaining pretty much what Mr. Darcy just went through. It's an existing fully developed site. They're only here because after I spoke to the city solicitor, she clarified that all cannabis uses in the city are conditional uses, which have to come to the board first and demonstrate compliance with those conditions. I think They have done that to this point. It also gives us the opportunity to ask any questions. About the operations, how they're intending to function. So it does give us that, but that's really it. There shouldn't be much to it. There's no development of the site proposed, correct? There's no proposed site changes. There's no parking reconfigurations or lighting. There's no anything. It's a site that already has full land use board approvals for the configuration layout that it is already. So, hence the site plan.
Board members, questions for Mr. Darcy or the applicant?
Question. When they go out, so they're growing everything inside the facility, not out back.
Yes,
Okay.
everything will be, Jessica sworn in.
Yeah, we should swear in your applicant, please.
Do you swear that everything you offer tonight will be the truth?
Yes,
Put your name, you can put your hand down. What is your name
Constantine Saladis,
and your address?
406 Ryan, Xanthus Avenue, sorry, Galloway, New Jersey. 205.
And spell your last name, please.
CHARALIDIS.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Fripp asked if all the operations
Yes,
inside.
Is there any additional requirements being in cannabis, like safety or security that is needed in the building?
We have
Okay.
submitted a packet to the city clerk, and they go through everything, including security and safety. Exaggeration.
Yeah.
So all that would be examined not only by the city attorney, but also by your city engineer for compliance.
Yeah, for board members who are not familiar, the city has a very intensive city application process. Which reviews security, site safety, applicants' background, history, financials, et cetera. So Angela gets that, it gets circulated to myself and the police department. We all go through it, make sure that they're meeting all the requirements of city application before they get that. So
Thank you.
What about waste, refuse? Is there a trash enclosure or anything?
Yeah.
Will you generate extra refuse or anything as part of the operation? Are you growing or manufacturing?
Well,
So the.
No.
You have to be sworn in, sir, to be able to.
No, you have to come over to the microphone.
Jerry's another member of the others. Yeah. How are you, Jerry?
No. You swear that everything you offer tonight will be the truth.
Yes.
Okay, you put your hand down. What is your full name?
Jerry.
FREEDMAN
FREE
and your address.
1201 Norman Avenue, Middle Township, New Jersey, 02251.
Just so you understand, all of these meetings by law have to be recorded and there has to be a very clear transcript of who's speaking and when. No. I just like, we're not sticklers, but we have to do certain things. Okay.
Just so briefly, the waste is all governed by the CRC, the state. So basically, we have to input all our waste. Right now, there's two ways to deal with waste. They have to have somebody to come pick it up. They treat it like toxic waste, basically. So everything's logged. We have a shredder, indoor battery shredder that gets shredded with cardboard. We weigh it, and right now we're using the option where they come and pick it up, just like it's logged, it's taken off site. We can potentially compost. That way, we have to modify our SOPs, et cetera. So right now, we're just dealing with the waste through CRC. There's a licensed disposal facilities that come pick it up. Even though it's not toxic, it's organic, they treat it like toxic waste basically.
So where are you storing it while you're waiting?
There's a specified area within the facility that's just for waste. There's a quarantine area and there's a waste.
Indoors?
Yes.
And just to clarify, this is just for cannabis related waste, office waste would be handled separately.
And that's one example, a good question, one example of what is contained in the city application. That all has to be documented. Proving to the satisfaction of your professionals.
Where's the office waste, just for the resolution? Where's the office waste, in or out?
we have small trash bins inside, and we also have dumpster inside the office.
If the dumpster getting clean, it's the existing.
I have a question. Sorry.
Which one of the three buildings is it in? I didn't see, I know they said B, but I don't see
The
it.
one on the left.
If you're standing on Brandon Avenue looking, which one is it, Gus?
Second half of the left.
Exhibit 8 has a little pick, yeah, so if you're standing on Brandon Avenue looking in, first on the left.
Okay.
Other guys.
Do you have another facility that you're running right now? And the licenses are already there, they have the licenses?
You have the license from the state and it's pending with the city.
Yeah, get city license.
Are we unlimited on the grows? We can have as many as we want, right?
Correct. Manufacturing. Systems go up. Four, well, yeah, there's 4 classes that we considered in the industrial park and retail was handled separately. There's one license, 2 total licenses.
And how many employees will you have?
We were allowed up to 10. We had 6 of them.
Just curious. Other people have come here for licenses and they couldn't get the state license until they had the city license. Is that different for growing versus retail?
What would the answer to
Is
that? We do have the license.
Okay.
From the state.
The state requires the resolution, so you need the resolution for bidding. That's, you have a conditional, that's one of the conditions.
Okay. So you have it, but this needs to be done for you to
It's got the resolution.
make sense. Thank you. Any other board members? Questions? Okay. Carol, how do we proceed with the
We
review?
need a motion. Again, this is just my style. You can do it however you want. I prefer for clarity, a motion in the positive, so everybody knows if they're voting yes, they're for the application. If they vote no, they know they're voting against. Sometimes when we do it in the negative, people get confused about what they're voting for. So if somebody wants to make a motion approving the application as presented for the
Sure.
reasons Mr. Darcy has set forth on the record.
Do we need one motion? Is there 2 matters of business here? A conditional use approval and the waiver of site
I
plan?
think this is pretty straightforward. I think you can bundle it.
Okay. I'll make the necessary motion to approve the resolution. Your second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? And a roll call, Donna, please.
Mayor Chimpati,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Timbers,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mr. Garth,
Yes.
Dennis McKenna,
Yes.
Michael McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Molyneux.
Yes.
Mr. Keener,
Yes.
Mr. Frey.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to see you. Tom. Okay, old business is amendment to a previous resolution 2024-02, spread the gospel. And we have Ms. Hawks here. Good evening, ma'am.
You do, although I don't know that you need to speak first, or how do you want to handle this, Chair? Let me summarize.
Yes,
what's going
please.
on, if you like, if you
Yes,
like.
that's what we would like to do.
The resolution adopted by the board indicated that the operating hours had to fall in line with the new noise ordinance. Ms. Hawks' attorney, I should say, Ms. Hawks' attorney, Mr. Friedman, sent in an email, I think. I only got an email, there could be a letter, but saying that it was his recollection that the board approved the application, and while the applicant has to comply with the new noise ordinances, as everybody does, the hours of original operation set forth in the 2017 resolution did not change. So I know that the link to the minutes was sent to Mr. Friedman. And that's where we are. So Ms. Hawks is asking that the resolution be amended to indicate that the hours of operation didn't change, but there's an awareness that the noise ordinance must be adhered to.
So we would need a motion from the board to amend the resolution.
If the board believes that that is what that they voted on.
Board members, nothing? You understand what,
Well, are we talking about what we voted on, or are we talking about the law? What does the law say?
What did you vote on? Did the board vote on an amendment to their hours of operation?
I thought we voted to have the hours match the new news ordinance.
just for clarity, what is the time? Do we know?
Nobody put that on.
Is it midnight?
Do you mind?
Is it midnight? I thought that's what it was, midnight. 12 o'clock, midnight.
The old hours of operation, I believe, were two.
Friday and Saturday until 2 a.m.
But I think the new ordinance might be
The new-
12, right? Is it 12?
12, was 12.
That's what I thought.
I believe that's what we, I mean, I was pretty adamant on a couple things, and that one of that we would adhere to the new guideline that's gonna be, yeah.
Does anybody have the ordinance that they could review it with the board? Ryan, do you have it? I don't have it on I don't have my laptop, just so we know what it says.
Did that just pass recently?
Oh, wow.
When approximately that new ordinance passed,
It was a few months ago, I think.
prior to them coming in front of us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking it was because
No, I think it happened that, at that next council meeting, it was passed. But
Yeah,
we were,
let me give you the time. It was clear at the meeting, Ms. Hawks appeared that the ordinance was
Was
gonna be up for the
passed.
second reading at the very next meeting, not
oh, okay.
the date of our meeting. The board was very clear that the noise ordinance was going to be passed within days, within a week. And I think the applicant's really clear that there can't be any noise. The question is, and let me give an example. Let's say that they've got a group in for a birthday party. And the noise ordinance says there can't be a peep out of that building after midnight. Are the attendees still allowed to sit around cleaning up? Doing whatever it is people do between 12 and 2 when the
Right,
building's open.
right.
So,
Yeah, and I guess my thought would be for reading this is that, Crossroads is open until, I don't know what time. Sometimes it's 9, sometimes it's 11, 12. I don't know on the weekends.
well, the noise ordinance and the hours of operation are two separate things.
Yeah,
they're two very
Right.
different things.
right.
The question is, did the board tell the applicant that your approval is conditioned upon you amending your hours of operation? So
Yeah.
that's the question before the board. I'm not certain why Mr. Friedman isn't here, who sent the link. And he would be able to say, I've listened to the recording, this is what the board said.
We have the minutes from this meeting?
Or, I think hours of operation versus cleaning,
Sure.
cleaning people are two different entities there. 10 people or 20 people standing behind it, sweep up, clean and all that, that's not the same as operation. Operation is an event. People need to stay past midnight to clean, and I don't think why that would even be an issue.
So currently, thank you. Currently, the ordinance reads like this, and thank you, Ms. Fox. Paragraph 5 says, the hours of operation for any event or business are limited to Sunday through Thursday, 8 till 11. And on Friday and Saturday from 8 until midnight, notwithstanding the hours of operation, the applicant and anyone using/renting the site must comply with any noise ordinance in effect. So we made it really clear that the noise. Mr. Friedman's complaint is, or comment, I'll say, is that the old hours of operation, which Ms. Hawks just went through. If there's an event that's ongoing until, say, 1, I'll pick between midnight and 2 o'clock. Until 1, as long as there's no violation of the noise ordinance, did the board vote to change the hours of operation? I will admit, I didn't go back and listen to the, I think, 2-hour meeting. It was a spirited discussion for 2 hours. But Mr. Friedman asked for the audio, and we haven't heard back from him.
It just, for the board's benefit, the prior noise ordinance, which was adopted in 1974, required, the hours on weekends were 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. And it said on Saturday and Sunday. And then the revised, which was just adopted, says between 12 a.m. and 8 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. So the days were revised and the hours were revised.
But as a board member just said, I forget which gentleman said it.
Joe.
To Joe. We're talking about 2 very different things, right? Noise and hours of operation. So if the board wants to have some discussion about whether or not the board made a motion to amend this applicant's hours of operation, that's what needs to be discussed.
I vaguely recall asking for this, and I kind of used the term that I know you didn't like about Brandon for refreshing memory. I said this is everything on Pandora's box. It goes both ways. They're asking for relief. It also gives the board an opportunity to ask for other items as well. And that was one of my issues. You know, we had a discussion on when we make a resolution and then we have discussion after. And that was something I was very strong about. And again, when I say hours of operation, hour of operation is the event, the party, the birthday, the wedding, reception, whatever. If after midnight, people want to stay behind to clean and sweep and all that, I don't consider that part of the operation. That's just, is what it is.
What I remember, again, because I know we were discussing this about hours of operation, and if we were gonna restrict this to 12 o'clock, then the other restaurants and bars would
Right.
have to do the same. So I think we kind of agreed that we couldn't do that.
Right.
We didn't want to do that, because then it would be restricting other restaurants, bars.
Yeah, that was my point with Crossroads.
Right, exactly. It's two different issues.
Very different.
I think the concern is too, is that this property, unfortunately, like a lot of properties in Lake Harbor City, it's a non-conforming use and it's in a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
Whereas something like Crossroads is on the main street, it's a little bit different because we have more residential homes around there. That's why the noise ordinance, I think, it's important in the neighborhood. When neighbors came out, they all pretty much talked about what's going on until the wee hours in the morning. I would buy that direction.
So what happens if the noise is too loud, the cops come? Do they shut them down or just tell them to keep the noise down? How's that work?
Well, I think that it's an event by event, it's a moment by moment thing. I don't think the police are gonna come in like the Gestapo.
They don't shut them down.
Right.
They ask them to turn it
They turn
off.
it down and then they go from there.
But again, it's 2 different things, you know, loud noise and hours of operation. Somehow they got conflated. I don't know how we.
Even a situation where they're cleaning up, say from 12 to 2. In a neighborhood like that, there could be people outside loading a car or a truck, making a lot of noise, just talking to each other. So, you know, I think it goes back to the noise ordinance and they have to comply with that.
I think what the board's job and obligation tonight is discuss what your intent at the last meeting was. What do you think as a group you voted on? Clearly, there's a consensus that, and Ms. Hawks agrees, the noise ordinance is a noise ordinance and the applicant, like anybody, private residents or not, has to comply with that now. And the board made it very clear to the applicant that there were being changes made that were imminent. This is a discussion about whether or not the board had voted on amending their hours of operation from what was already granted in 2017. That's what the board needs to decide.
I would say no. I would say it was 12 o'clock midnight with the new ordinance that was recently passed. And I think everybody agreed with midnight at that time.
For the,
Or now do.
Right, the ordinance.
the ordinance, yeah.
So the ordinance that was passed was for noise.
Yes.
Right. But I think my thought at that time was that was hours of operation too. That midnight would be the cutoff for any kind of party on the weekends.
Would you spread the gospel or for everyone?
Well, no one else has come in front of the board, so, I mean, it's.
Not yet, but if that happens,
If someone comes in front of this board, then the board has an obligation to take all things into consideration. The neighborhood, the people surroundings, where it's located, things of that nature. So it's not, I don't think the board being unfair, we're taking into consideration not just the applicant, but people around, and we have to make it work for everybody, not, it wouldn't be fair to make it work just for the residents, because that would be unfair to them. But we can't make it great for them and unfair to the residents, so I think that's a fair balance that we offer. Considering where it's at and, the past history.
Can I?
And I think, I'm sorry, Mike, I think the only last thing to throw in there was to remember what the applicant was before the board for. A waiver from site plan regarding the parking lot. It was a very, and I do understand what you're saying completely.
But then there was a lot of discussion
There was.
about that issues of the operation and noise.
So I'm gonna read a portion of the noise ordinance, which I don't think we went through in detail previously. We amended the hours on this, but the rest of it remains as it was. It was passed in 1974, so you'll pick up the dated reference. It says, "It shall be unlawful for any owner or operator of a public place to permit the operation of phonograph machines, jukeboxes, radios, or the performance of an orchestra or other form of entertainment." So to me, if you're having a party, you have to essentially shut the music off at midnight. That's what the new ordinance will require.
Only if they're using a phonograph.
Go ahead. Or other form of entertainment, I think could broadly be included too.
Were you born in
Rest of
19
modern times.
Were you born in 1974?
I was not.
No.
I don't know how many years it was lapsed between then. But yeah, so I mean, even if they're allowed to operate, they're not allowed to play music in the facility. At midnight, they'll have to turn music off.
So what's the board's pleasure?
I just don't see how we could regulate one business's hours of operation and not others. Yeah.
Lawrence, get this up,
Yeah, and, yeah,
neighborhood.
But we don't. It's not-
we're going to,
And when they come in front of us, and we have that opportunity to take into consideration their location and the people around them, and they come in and look for the same thing.
Is there an ordinance stating hours of operation of bars and restaurants?
that's a good question. I
I
don't,
don't think
There is.
those everyone have to come. It's the same use. There's no change of use. So they won't have to come.
Yeah, if that reopened as a bar and restaurant in the identical form that existed previously. This had to come to the board because there's a change of use from the Knights of Columbus to this use, which we deemed to be not a continuation of what previously existed.
In every case that comes in front of us, we grant different waivers to different applicants based on the condition. Whether it be storage containers, whether it be dumpsters, whether it be sidewalks or anything else. We have some people put in sidewalks, it's not optional, and other people we give a waiver to. It's not, I don't think we're being unfair or doing anything. Other than taking into consideration all aspects of it. I don't know why anyone would feel that we're doing this, singling someone out. We do that on every case. We hear all the issues, but we make decisions one by one based on all those things that you take into consideration. As I think our due diligence to work on the behalf of not just the applicant, but the residents. And I think this is a very, very fair compromise.
If I may, what you just said, I think triggered my memory. I believe we did discuss this issue, that there was maybe some type of conflict between the ordinance and their original application hours. And you stated the exact same thing then. I think the way we handled it is that we did not amend their hours. We stated that they had to comply with the ordinance.
Correct.
And so we're going back, just saying what we did then, I don't think we can modify their hours. What we're doing is we're just saying they were meant to be.
And I'm not even sure that this board would make an ordinance of hours of operation, but Carol, what do you?
Applicants in the past for hours.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Well,
However,
aren't the,
wouldn't that have to be a city council generated thing? That's what they do. They make ordinances, but I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, Carol.
Aren't the conditions from the previous the previous resolution still in effect? So all we've done is state that there is a noise ordinance that no
Right.
noise after midnight. The hours would fall back to the previous resolution. Well, that's how I would interpret it. That's just me.
I think we should table this then.
Yeah.
And get the audio.
Yep.
And make it very, very clear to what I did and did not add to the motion.
second,
Instead of surmising and guessing, let's do it the right way.
Yeah.
Find out what was and wasn't said. And, you know, ordinances are out there, correct, council creates one with this board. The authority to make changes to the ordinance as it sees fit. Just like a sidewalk ordinance, we can waive that at any time.
Okay, so Ms. Hawks, what is your concern, ma'am?
So my concern is number one, he wants to be compliant, which is why when I saw that I need to know. So when the people come and they want to know what time can we have a party till, I need to know if I'm telling them 1 AM or am I telling them 12? So that my customers can be compliant, I need to know what am I following? So again, so when I got this, it was confusing to me. I will say, on my contracts, for the most part, we don't do parties until 2 AM. What I put out to my customers, they have until 1 AM. That time, they know all music, everything has to stop. They start the cleanup process, no hanging out in the parking lot, all of that. So if there's a middle ground somewhere where we can come together, I would be perfectly okay with even putting it as part of the resolution for 1 AM on Friday and Saturday, and the 11 PM on Sunday through Thursday. Because I really don't put it out there 2 AM, even though I know it says it in the original resolution. I don't put it out there to the people 2 AM. I usually say 1 AM. 1 AM works perfectly fine for me. If we can meet at a middle ground
And do you understand that under the
on
new
Friday and
noise
Saturday?
on? And if the board were to entertain that, that's up to the board. Do you understand that even if you were allowed to have people on site for an event until 1, the noise and music
Yes.
would have to be
I'm clear with
midnight?
the noise ordinance. So basically, again, when they come in, I have to make them aware there's noise ordinance in place at 12 o'clock. Music has to go all the way down. You're there until 1.
So
No,
essentially,
we're talking about.
No, the noise ordinance says 12.
Rather when they're 2 o'clock. or-
so essentially you're proposing that like the party would need to cease for all intents and purposes at midnight on the gives. And then they'd have to be out of the facility by 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Or however long it takes. Nowadays, they do really big setups. Companies have to come in with chairs out. You know, get ready for the party for the next day. So sometimes breakdowns take longer, but
As long as you stand up and give your name and get sworn in. Do you swear that everything you offer tonight will be true?
Yes. When you guys met, and you can wait for the audio or whatever you want to. Y'all had said that y'all want to pass an ordinance. Okay, it essentially said 12 o'clock, but y'all were going to continue to comply, if that's the right word, to our hours of operation. And so basically, if we would, as my wife said, and as some of the board members kind of recall, And we go to basically 12 o'clock because we don't have a say-so over the ordinance. The ordinance was 2 o'clock, we stopped. We always stopped at 1, but that was just a call. The ordinance said that we could stop all the music at 2 o'clock. You said that you were passing the ordinance in the next couple of days or whatever, that was gonna amend it till 12 o'clock. So we're contending, okay, if it's 12 o'clock, it's 12 o'clock. But to the point, and I'm just being redundant, you did also allude to the fact that our hours of operation wouldn't change. In other words, you're giving somebody, if it's 2 o'clock or whatever, get in their cars, clean up, do all the stuff that you said, but at 12 o'clock, basically the music has to shut down. Right? Okay, I want to say one more thing too, and this is kind of off, and then I'm gonna sit down. I'm trying to just cool. Again, I said this at the zoning board meeting. In the 5 years that we've been open over there, okay, we only received, but two noise complaints when we got a call. Now, when I came here, of course, you know, you got 59 of them. We never got them. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I'm only bringing that up because you know, our reputation to a certain extent it's been kind of sullied through this and this and that and the other and all of that. And I'm like, wait a minute, we don't.
I don't think there were any violations written, Mr. Hawks. I think that it was just neighbors must have called and law enforcement showed up to find out what was going on, but I don't think there was ever any summonses issued.
Right, we've never got a summons, so you know.
A lot of them say that the police spoke to somebody on site
Yeah.
and the noise
Right.
was stopped.
And that only happened like 2 times, but the point was, in the public forum, there was members here that stood up with papers saying, you got 59 complaints here, you got 59 this and 59 that, or whatever. And I'm just taking issue, which is a new point, I guess, but it's kind of not, because you paint this picture, and a lot of people are gonna vote based on that picture that you have. So when you say you got 100 complaints, and you got this and that and the other, but we've never been aware of it, even to your point, we never got summons or anything like that, but, you know, we might have got 2 calls or something like that, that's what we know about.
Well,
So-
again, as I stated at the meeting, Mr. Hawks, you may not have heard it, but as board members here, we hear about it socially.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
complaints
Sure.
and, you know, well, call code enforcement or call law enforcement. And it usually doesn't escalate past that. It's just people venting because they're unhappy with, you know, things going on in their neighborhood that are disrupting their quality of life.
Right.
So we're trying to please everybody,
appreciate
as you can understand.
I'm a business owner and I'm a resident, so I get it.
Okay, so getting back to the issue before us now, so. I see 2 things that can happen tonight. One, we can table this discussion, do more research, send a letter to the Hawks attorney as to whether we're going to amend it or not, I don't know, or someone offer a motion to make an amendment to the things to state the hours of operation that we feel are fair.
Well, I think Mr. Garth has a point when he says we're all sitting here guessing.
Yeah.
Over what was said, and we should know what we said. That's my view.
In regards to what direction this goes.
Right, right. We shouldn't make a decision guessing.
We should. I don't think I don't think it's proper for us to change whatever we agree to. If we agree to 2 AM or agree to 4 AM or agree to midnight, whatever it is we agree to, we have an obligation to adhere to what we discussed and voted on. Unfortunately, yes, there's a fog in this, and, you know, there was a lot of discussion, and we're not real clear where it ended. So I think it's only prudent.
Who's gonna review the tape?
We have our
And it's either that or we
Legal
come up with a
representation.
compromise, like Mrs. Hawk said, and
now we're
go to 1 AM. It's an extra hour that they can occupy the building, but quiet.
Yeah, and I think it
And
puts,
put the rest, they have to have their lawyer involved, who I'm sure they get a fee every time you have to review something.
What you said.
I mean, nothing against the lawyers, but if we can put it the rest of the night and just get it over with, I'm okay with compromising for an hour. 'Cause whatever we agreed on, we're either giving them an extra hour or they're losing an hour, so we're both kind of in the same boat at that point, and then at least it's over.
Is that a motion?
I'll leave that.
can I make one more comment? You know, and time is critical for them because they need to tell their customers what time. They can't really book any events unless they tell their customers what time they can stay until. So I would ultimately like to do the first suggestion and see what exactly was said. But on the other hand, as Mr. McKenna said, you know, negotiating may not be a bad idea, being that they're so pressed for time because they do have to book parties. But, you know, in my personal opinion, I feel like the whole issue overall would probably be something the council would have to have an ordinance for the whole town, but I'm not a lawyer. But I think a compromise is a good idea. If not, then,
Change our resolution.
well, resolution or the only resolution thing we voted on the resolution was the parking lot. We didn't vote on the noise ordinance. That's the problem. An ordinance is generated from city council.
That's part of the resolution. That's what they came in for.
Right,
That is the correct statement. They came in
Right.
for that as the resolution. Offer. And then we made our add-ons to that resolution. So my only question is, if we voted on a resolution, do we have an obligation to stick with that obligation without them having to go through the whole
Right.
process? Or are we allowed to amend this resolution? This is supposed to be the second reading of that resolution, correct?
No.
If-
No.
The ordinance already been passed and read.
Okay.
You can amend it. You can amend.
you can amend a resolution. The ordinance is like a law. That's
The
what
order
it
is
is.
about, we make
Yeah.
a resolution to adhere to or make acceptance to the ordinance. I'm questioning the resolution. I don't want to put us in a situation where we're changing a resolution when we're not allowed to. If we're allowed to, and the board feels obligated, then that's what the board does. What are we allowed? to do?
Well, I don't mind a compromise, but we should know
Yeah,
the facts of how we voted. I mean, that should be done also.
or what we voted on
Yes,
the
yes.
resolution,
We should
basically.
know, but I'm not against a compromise or anything like that. It just seems like everybody's sitting here and we're all guessing about what we said instead of finding out what we
Yeah.
said.
I agree. But in the meanwhile, how do we give relief to them so they can book their people? That's the question.
I don't know legally, but if that's the case, if we're gonna table this.
Since there is a clear, no, and it is unfortunate, this is not a criticism, I promise you, Ms. Hawks. It's a shame that the person who asked to listen to the tape isn't here to make a representation as an officer of the court. I remember our conversation very well, with regard to what my legal opinion was with regard to whether or not this board has the ability to say, we said you could be open till 2 back in 2017. Comma, we're going to be adopting, the city is going to be adopting a new ordinance. And I made a reference, I made an analogy between spot zoning and wanting to tell this business owner that if we're going to grant you a waiver from having to pave a parking lot, we're now going to delve into your hours of operation. It is well within your authority to say there, because board members are not lawyers, they're not parliamentarians. The motions are not spelled out and read as they do in Congress or the House of Representatives or the Senate. There seems to be some discourse, who said what did we agree to? It would be well within this board's authority to say, we're going to clarify this language and consider the applicant's offer to say, look, if there's if there's a cloudy, perhaps if we all listen to the tape, it's still not gonna be crystal clear. It's well within the board's authority to say we're gonna clarify paragraph, I think it's 5, saying that the applicants understand the new zone, the new noise ordinance. Their hours of operation had been until 2, but in light of the change of the noise ordinance, they're agreeing to amend their hours of operation to 1 PM. That would be perfectly legal. Because what we're talking about here is a disagreement about what the actual motion was.
So Mike, you
I'll
make,
I'll make a motion that
Yeah.
we change the wording on that, their hours of operation for Friday and Saturday night to 1 AM. They understand that they have to follow the noise ordinance, and then I guess it would be at 11 PM all other nights.
second,
Well, let's be very clear, because I want to make sure I understand the motion.
Can you say it loud for the recording?
Give me that. So the old hours of operation on the weekends were until 2.
Yes,
You're agreeing to go till 1, acknowledging that the noise ordinance says everybody's got to hush up by midnight, right?
yes,
And that the other nights of the week, it was until 11, and the noise ordinance in that regard hasn't changed.
Right.
So that's the motion.
yes,
So 1 on the weekends until 11.
Sunday.
Sunday, Thursday.
Got it.
okay. So there's a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Roll call, Don.
Mayor Jim Patty,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mr. Garth,
Yes.
Dennis McKenna,
Yes.
Michael McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Molyneux,
Yes.
Mr. Keener,
yes.
Mr. Brett.
I abstained, I didn't vote on the original.
So closing at 1 Friday through Friday and Saturday, noise at midnight. Closing at 11 Sunday through Thursday, noise off at 10.
Oh, 11.
No.
It's noise ordinance is 10 or 11.
It's 10.
10.
The new ordinance is 10 to 8. Friday through, yeah, except Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
So there's an hour
Midnight to
buffer.
8.
So
Friday
12 and 1 and 10 and 11. Got it.
Roll call. We already did that.
Yeah, fine, we got all these.
Right, so- right. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, council report? Anything?
We did have the cleanup day, very successful. 2.98 tons of trash. I didn't get a report on the recycles. So that was a good day. 340 people came out or were signed up and did clean up. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else, but on Monday, y'all know that is Memorial Day. So the service will be at 10 o'clock at Lincoln Park. So if you'd like to present a wreath or whatever, I know Aaron Hoffman is. And that's it. And then June 1st is the summer celebration that we're having. If I was asked to pass along, if anybody would like to volunteer in the dunk tank, you're certainly welcome to do so. Any planning board, any land use board members want to get dunked, you know, make a little bit of money, you know, who knows?
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
And I think that's it. Thanks. Oh, you know what? I do want to say one other thing. We got another grant this week for $400,000 to make the City Hall ADA. So we'll be doing some work on the doors in front and the bathrooms and
Bathrooms will pretty much get fully renovated. They'll be able to work in here to make.
Yeah.
Because right now you have stairs up under your desk.
yeah.
So that will be made compliant. All doors get replaced. The service counters will be lowered because they're not ADA compliant height. So $400,000.
So we're doing good with grants. We did get another $850,000 grant for forestry issues that was on Arbor Day. They announced that grant. And then the grant before that was $1 million for street trees. So we're doing good with grants. Keep your fingers crossed. We have a recreation grant out there for pickleball court. So let's hope and pray that that goes through and we get it. And we have another one out for the Crusaders Field to try to supplement some funding for that to get that squared away.
Donna just passed me a note here. We're required to watch a stormwater management video as part of our,
Make sure you have popcorn ready for that.
I've already done it. Mine's done. My wife's done.
okay, before we do that, is there any public comment? Anyone from the public wish to speak?
I just want to make. a
Feed
comment.
me.
I
They
just wanna-
say, feed me.
Oh, it's fine. I want to make, I want to thank Donna for all the feedback she provided since our last meeting, all those issues we had. She did follow up and send emails, so it was nice to hear the response back.
Yes.
Always.
Thank you, Don. Okay, before we watch the video, go ahead.
The bike path, what's happening with that?
That is a Pine Lands issue now. We had a meeting with Pine Lands, what, a month ago? maybe? And DOT and the county. Yeah, they're having,
Good.
they're having a problem with the way the extra surface of the road is going to be filtered going into the forest. So CME suggested one way, which the Pinelands didn't like because it was new and it wasn't traditional, but it didn't follow the protocol. So they went back to the drawing board. I haven't heard anything since then, but Ryan, you feel anything you want to add to that?
Their regulations just make it incredibly difficult to do anything with wetlands buffers. Because you can't have additional discharge to the wetland areas. But you can't. The only way that you can not do that is to have infiltration, but it's hard to infiltrate because you don't have separation of groundwater, because you're right next to wetland. So their rules are just, it's very difficult to meet everything at the same time. So they think they have a way to do it, but they have to use pervious paving and the county and DOT don't pay for that. So they're just trying to get all parties to like figure out what is the path forward. Is finance going to bend the rules, or is DOT and county going to pay for this pervious paving plan? So hopefully they can get that sorted out. That's where we're at.
Is the paving only going in certain spots?
They'd be widening the Philadelphia Avenue pavement section pretty much the full length. From Deasterwick out to the lake. It's only, the bike path itself is only about 5 feet. But they may need additional pervious paving off the side just to route the stormwater management. Most of you probably don't know this, but Pinelands just changed their rules in the last 2 years or so. That requires you to treat nitrogen to 65%. And they say you do that with 1 or 2 devices, except 0 devices are qualified to actually treat 65%. So the rule effectively requires you to have 2 BMPs or basins or facilities in series. So normally what I would have done is we'd have like pervious paving and you would go down to the ground and just infiltrate. Well, now that's not good enough. Now you have to have the pervious paving, route it through there and then under drain it and put it in another facility and then you can infiltrate. So it's just made doing anything very, very difficult.
Are the poles being moved?
Yes, utility poles, many of the utility poles need to be removed. That was one Pinelands question. They wanted to count every pole that was going to be removed and the rest were moved to 2. Which, assuming you do that, it's just going to be a guess and utility pole becomes, you guys can do whatever you want.
Said they have a very like 15 block foot wherever you want.
Yeah, the road is 100 feet wide there. You got plenty to work with, but yeah, it mostly just comes down to issues of like what you can do where. So they're just trying to sort it all out.
Hopefully those catch basins, wherever they are, don't sink, or they have people falling off their bike, like the White Horse Pike, you know?
And of course, they're worried about the usual yellow goldenrod and some sort of a red possible goldenrod or
There's
maybe
plants love to grow like right at the edge of the asphalt. They don't let you move the edge of the asphalt, even though they did, they probably go right, 6 inches over there. Yeah, I don't envy what they're going through at the moment, but they're trying.
But they're not worried about the human beings that actually traverse that road, that could get hit by a car and killed, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Now, how much input does the county?
Well, it's a county road, so
Right.
ultimately, they can just say, no, we're not gonna allow that. But if you get to a point where the Pineland says you have to do that, and the county says no.
So what are they saying, do you know?
What's that?
what the county's saying.
I think the county was open to pervious paving, given discussions we had, but, it was gonna take a little more selling and see how we part, I think. We'll see where it goes. That meeting was just 3 weeks ago. So, yeah, it's just about trying to do, it's got different goals and different things.
And can I say one more thing? I did forget, maybe I mentioned this before, but we did get a $1 million grant also to help the infrastructure at the site where the movie studio is going to be. So that will help him. I don't remember if I told you that or not, but that's.
That was in the paper too.
What's the current status of the old Sunoco? Is anything going on there? Gas station.
That I'm aware of.
They closed for quite a while.
The convenience is open, but there's no fuel.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Shut down.
What's been going on, they're not aware of.
Have they been to your office at all?
They were here, what, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Tear the car wash down and put it in the door and all that.
Take back for an extension. And guess what?
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
Is the bowling alley situation solved?
Waiting for court date and,
They had a court date,
oh, did they?
but the defense, requested a postponement due to a surgical procedure. Steve says he doesn't know if it's been granted yet, but that's what he was just.
Then last question, I know several months ago, it was approved for the cannabis retail on the pike, and I haven't seen any activity there.
They picked up their permits.
Oh, they did.
There's a
Yeah.
dumpster.
I don't know, it seems to be slow moving, but they did pick up the permits.
Yeah, there were 2 of them, only one got the retail license, that was the Atlantic Flower.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dumpster was there for free.
Yeah, they submitted their city application. So we did approve that as far as.
Okay.
The dumpster on Camp Street was picked up. Thank you, Donna. So,
That's it.
go ahead. Okay.
Do it tonight, or we can do it another night.
Can we watch it on our own?
No, it's me telling fun little stories. You can do it any way you want.
So we're still going to do stormwater? No.
Yeah, Jody asked
Already
that
did.
everybody watch it. It's gonna be easier than having people watch it on another line.
It is, like 7 minutes.
It was very easy. I did it really.
Okay. Well, not
There's
to
a little test.
drag the meeting out,
Not
but
hard.
I'm still having a problem with Dollar General and the inability of code enforcement to resolve this problem. So I wasn't gonna print out 34 pictures, but I got thumbnails here going back from 2016, if the board cares to look at them and then leave them with Carol. Essentially, Dollar General's business model is they get their deliveries on the rolling racks. They unpackage everything, they put the cardboard boxes on the rolling racks, and then they store the racks in the parking lot. And they're not supposed to be in the parking lot, they're supposed to be in the trash enclosure. Well, in the meantime, while this is happening, the windstorm comes up and then it blows the cardboard out of these racks all over the place. So this is not a new problem. And I've made a nuisance of myself to code enforcement, who I can't deal with anymore because they think that I'm abusing them. So I'm asking the board, how do we resolve this to make them comply with what they agreed to? Now, I reread the resolution and I thought that somewhere in there, it should have said nothing is to be stored outside, but I didn't see that anywhere. All it said was that they will recycle the trash and that they will recycle the cardboard and that the trash will be emptied by a delivery service. So there hasn't been, well, there's been a couple of spells where they were compliant and there wasn't anything outside. But essentially, week after week after week, these parts are out there and they're outdoors. The cardboard is not secured and it's blowing all over the neighborhood. So can the board write a letter to code enforcement and ask them to enforce? What do we do, Carol?
Of course, I mean, we talked about this last time, it shouldn't have to be that a board tells the governing body to have their code enforcement gentleman or gentlewoman, whatever the case may be, enforce not only your resolution, but the law. I mean, if somebody says, and I understand it's not as specific as hindsight might have required it to be, but when they say they're going to maintain their trash and they're gonna take it out on time and they're going to recycle, it's like any house. I mean, if your neighbor keeps putting out whatever refuse they generate each week, the code enforcement officer is gonna go out, hopefully, and say, you gotta pick up your trash and secure it. You can't just be flying
Or
around.
you're not, in town, the residences, you're not supposed to put it out until 24 hours before pickup, or I don't know what the time period is, but you can't just leave it out there week after week, blowing.
But clearly, I wasn't there obviously, but clearly they didn't come in for site plan approval and say, our business model is we have racks, we put cardboard on the rack, and the first stiff win, there goes the boxes. That wasn't their testimony. Right? I can guarantee you that wasn't their testimony. So if you think that a letter from the board is going to put a fire, so to speak.
I mean, unless I'm wrong and this is acceptable, I don't know, but is it just me? Just being, hard-headed or?
No, fortunately, I think it's top channels, bottom. It looks like all their stores, they do the same thing.
Well,
Once they get in, they don't really maintain them, they don't.
I can tell you that the one in Mays Landing is not like that. They're not a cart or a piece of cardboard anywhere around that building.
Ryan, don't they have to have an enclosure around a recycle container or not?
They have a trash enclosure.
I know, but it's not big enough.
It's not big enough for the way that they run their business.
So we could theoretically make
Yeah.
that enlarge it.
I'm sure that they agreed to comply with all the conditions of the engineer planner's report. I'm sure that Tim's report says no outdoor storage of trash and refuse, as all of his reports always did. So that's a condition in the letter that they agreed to. So if we go back to that and cite that specifically, say, read specifically to not have outdoor storage of trash. And you're doing it repeatedly, just cite them for non-conformance with the resolution.
So Don, I don't want to put you on the spot, but why are they so reluctant to do anything over there?
I thought that there was an issue with, the homeless people using a
nothing-
crowbar and breaking into the dumpster, and then the trash is going all over from that.
The homeless thing is just within the last month. This has been going on since 2016.
But Jeff, they go over there,
Yeah, but they're not writing them any violations so that they stop doing it.
Well, the store isn't big enough to have all the cards inside.
Why is that our
Look out,
fault?
I know, but that's the way Dollar Generals are.
That's their problem.
Well,
I don't think Mrs. Windy will appreciate the cardboard blowing in her backyard,
No, I don't think so.
or it blows down the pipe and all of that.
Inside there, so I think maybe they should, require them to make a bigger one. To
Or
handle
shed.
all the
I've
carts
seen
or
sheds.
something.
Wawa used to have sheds for their recycling.
I think that the resolution and the city ordinances together are clear. You came in, you said, look at our pretty maps, this is what it's gonna look like. I'm sure the map doesn't have pictures of little carts rolling around the parking lot, and certainly not stuffed with crushed cardboard. If they crush the cardboard and put it in the enclosure, it'll fit.
They do not.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So. I think that's where your hook is. The city has trash ordinances. They were granted site plan approval, and part of the site plan approval was not allowing uncrushed boxes to fly around racks. Which aren't secured, and so the boxes are going down the street.
But who's supposed to enforce that, Carol? Can you
Of course,
just say
they're
that?
enforced.
Code enforcement?
I think the problem from going in there is that they've had a health problem. There's a different manager in there every week. And probably who Steve or Richie's going in and talking to. is somebody new that don't know anything about ordinances or enclosures or anything. So maybe what they need to do is go to somebody in upper management with.
So
They've already done that, Joe, 1,000
I
times.
think
well,
they
just
just
like-
need a bigger enclosure.
Right,
So that.
But I mean, they gotta be told, they gotta be,
They
maybe
have to be.
write them up.
Need
That's
to-
what I'm saying.
Take them to
You
court.
cite 'em,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
and then the powers to be
Yes.
don't like spending the money.
Then they
they'll
pay.
fix it. And usually the
Get
cardboard
fined.
is
Yeah.
banned when they crush it. They put a band around it so it can't be.
And then
Well, these are in carts.
I've seen the cards, but I'm saying,
include.
they put them in a crusher. And it goes down and there's a spot for the metal band to go around it.
It's not the board or the city's place to worry about their health issues.
Right,
yeah.
There's an ordinance that
Agreed.
says. Keep your trash off the street. If I have my trash blowing all over God's green earth. The code enforcement official in Northfield is not gonna care if I'm tired, or I work too much, or my trash can got cracked. They're not gonna care. They're gonna cite me, they're gonna give me a notice of violation. And if I don't clean it up within X number of weeks, they're gonna summons me to municipal court, and then I'm gonna get fined.
Right.
That's all the city has to worry about. Because it's nice people like. People who volunteer their time in cities. That, oh, the help, the homeless, the this, that. You don't need to worry about making them increase their enclosure size. That's on them to figure out how they're going to stop being fined. It's that simple.
I remember we had a problem in the old Wawa. After you were there. And I remember going in there and talking to the manager. And she did everything she could to figure it out. Just like you're saying, and because there was trash blowing across the street to where the old Cumberland Farms, now liquor stores at, and they fixed the problem, to your point. So I don't know what the Dollar General's solution would be, but
Well, they're not listening to code enforcement, so now I think it's time to get a citation.
If-
Rich is over there all the time.
No change. If they start getting fined, maybe that'll
Yeah,
push them to come here and ask for variance. To be able to take a couple of parking spots that they already have and make that another enclosure.
And here's the other side of that. Once you give them a citation, Carol, you can speak on this, it goes to court then. Now, this is the problem we're having with the bowling alley. The judge doesn't want to do anything. We're the criminals. He's not. Even though, and I hate to get off the topic, he has no CO, no CCO, no TCO. He's illegally running a business that is not an approved use from this board. It's a trash dump. There's trash everywhere. There's weeds everywhere. The tree issue, whatever the case may be. Then he goes to the court and then now you're being held captive by the court. The court's
Well,
not,
Let me tell you how,
because this is what our experience is, Carol, right now.
and this is very simple. The postponements. You're never gonna do anything about them. It's a fact of life. You just have to roll with that. You have little control. But, if somebody receives a notice and somebody receives a summons. If whoever the representative from the city goes to court and the prosecutor said that we're gonna dismiss this, no, I want a trial. And the trial is only 10 minutes. This is not a big to do. It's just a matter of the city standing its ground saying, no, I won't agree to a dismissal. I won't.
So that could happen to us though, if this Dollar General goes to court. It could be postponement after postponement.
Well,
And
they
then
don't
if
need
they
to postpone
dismiss
so long
it,
because all these courts have timeframes, that they have to. Report to the administrative office of the courts, and the municipal courts get reports every month. Saying this is how old these cases are, and if you just get into a rhythm saying this is what we're doing.
And may I mention also, going back to the bowling alley, the illegal fence that is unpermitted and is in the city right away. And they're criminals. And we can't do anything about
So
it.
have there been any violations for that?
They're in court about it. But nothing's getting done in the court.
who's handling it for the city?
Well, now Angela has to go to court with them because I requested that she go. Because I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens in a court if there's no legal representation.
The
For the city.
prosecutor is supposed to be representing the city.
Okay, well. I
Well,
don't
any
know
other
that-
town in Atlantic County, if you don't have a CO.
Yeah.
They're locking you out. You
Yeah.
can't open a building. It's a commercial building. And if it's not a commercial building and he's gonna do something else with it, he has to come before the board and file an application.
I mean, I hate to beat this dead horse, but I mean, Carol, do you go home to Northfield down the White Horse Pike? Sometimes. Please go and just look. This is the use is a bowling alley. There's been nothing cleaned up in that place. It's here's what the use is. It's a warehouse. It's a trash. It's a dump. Okay, that's really what it's being used for,
He's using it as storage. He's storing his personal effects
but it's a dump.
in this building.
He's dumping stuff.
Well,
It's a dump
one man's trash is another man's
No.
treasure.
and it's a fire hazard. If that thing goes up in flames, I don't even know what's gonna happen.
Or fire marshal.
Is part
That's
of the-
another issue and not
Particularly
letting, not
deputy
letting,
sheriff.
not letting the fire marshal in.
Oh, that's not. wow.
That's been going on for a year.
So part of the complaint with the court right now is it's the fence,
No,
that it's illegal.
no, the whole thing that went to court recently, and Donald will attest to this, is that the trailers are gone now. I'm like, excuse me, like, that's not the only issue. There's trash. There's weeds. There's an illegal
But
fence.
the trash is secondary.
There's no
You have to have a CO.
There's no
You have to have
CO.
insurance.
There's not,
You have to have
there's nothing.
refuse.
But it's a win because we don't have containers anymore. That's the win.
Okay.
So I don't know where we go from here with that. Maybe Donnie, you can shed some light on that. I
The
don't
city
know.
has to come off some of their money and pay the right people to do the right job. I mean, we could make excuses all day long, but it's
Great, funny, what need to be done?
we're not taking the proper actions and we're wondering why there's not a change. Let's spend some money, set the tone, set the precedent, and make it right. I mean, we go up down Route 30, I mean, I don't like to pick on Kowalski, but he's got 200 tires out there every day.
Yeah,
And
That's
guess
a
what?
sewer, and it's in the ordinance, he's not allowed to have,
That's right.
and no one has ever bothered.
well, I did ask about that.
No tires will be stored out.
I asked Steve Hadley about that years ago. And what he said was they get picked up on a regular basis. That's what he puts them there and they get picked up and they get removed from the site.
ordinance, not the resolution we passed,
That's not what it says.
doesn't say he can pick them up once every 2 weeks or every other day, they're not to be stored. He came back and got approval for a container. If he wants to put them in that container and shut the doors, that's fine. But you can go all the way up and down Route 30, and you're gonna have this problem, up every street, but you can't ask. I think go back to the statement I said earlier, we're gonna ask one person to comply, but we're gonna try to blind eye the other people.
You're not gonna get one person to comply unless everyone.
So you're gonna have to spend the right money, get someone to go out there, do it, it's not personal, it's business, that's the old saying. You got places right on Philadelphia Avenue. You got 2 businesses operating on 1 yard, I mean, everybody sees it, I don't wanna pick on people, but we either gotta enforce it or we don't, but we shouldn't expect any change, we're not gonna do anything different.
Todd's right. If you cite somebody for one thing, they're gonna go look at somebody else's business and say, why aren't you picking on them?
Cite them too.
Well, that's the point.
There should be a mountain of citations right now against the bowling.
They're writing tickets.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but there should be 50 tickets on just the trash laying around. They should go back here and just keep writing another ticket every so many weeks.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Sooner or later, it's gonna go through the court. It's gonna get straight.
But it's not, it doesn't ever change though, that's the whole problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I please watch this video on my own? You send me a link, I promise I'll send you a certificate or something.
Nope, you have to watch it with everybody.
So you watch it,
It's easy.
tomorrow, when are we watching?
See it 3 times. Anybody else need me for anything?
No, thank
Are we watching it now? We're watching it right now?
Right now.
It's, I'm telling you, like, sent.
I already seen that.
Oh.
I'm gonna go mention it.
3 minutes ago. Well, we should have started this 2 minutes ago.
I don't care. What's your certificate? Donna's got my certificate. I sent it.
It's 3 Musketeers mentality, all for one, for all.
You're really gonna watch it?
Thank you, lady.
Ryan, you know where?
Where what? It's just, it's in the back. Thank you.
No, it's not there.
This will be the first presentation in a series about the New Jersey.
Fast forward.
7 minutes.
February 2nd.
Played it one.
The presentation is to explain when stormwater management rules apply to the development. For a courtesy copy of the stormwater management rules, please visit www.njstormwater.org. There you will also find guidance and other information related to stormwater management in New Jersey, as well as the New Jersey Stormwater Best Management Practices Manual, hereafter referred to as the BMP.
Ryan, you said we were gonna get out.
That was cautious last.
Resulting in precipitation. Many variables affect quantity and quality, including soils, vegetation, and climate. Landfill tends to alter these conditions, which often have a negative effect on the hydrologic conditions of the site. Stormwater management rules focus on the change of a site's hydrology as a result of development and redevelopment. Because rainfall usually occurs over large areas, it can generally be assumed the larger the land area being altered, the greater the effect. One way to quantify this is to measure the impervious area that is added to the site as a result of development. Impervious surface is defined by the stormwater management rules as a surface covered with a layer of material so that it's infiltration by water. Example of parking lots, sidewalks, and roofs. Impervious earth do not allow infiltration and in many cases replace vegetation, greatly increasing the volume, flow rate, and pollutant loading of stormwater runoff, while preventing recharge of groundwater. Another way of measuring the area impacted is to consider the total footprint of the site. Disturbance is defined as any increase in impervious surface, movement or exposure of soil or bedrock, and clearing, cutting, or removing vegetation. Disturbing the site can greatly alter the hydrology in a number of ways. The stormwater management rules apply only to sites that are considered major developments. The stormwater management rules define a major development to be any site which results in the disturbance of 1 or more acres of land or increases the impervious coverage by 1/4 acre or more. However, this definition varies depending on the regulations for which the stormwater management rules are being enforced. Therefore, the specific definition of major development will be explained for each regulation that is discussed. Under the Federal National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System Permit Program, all states must regulate municipal stormwater discharges from municipal separate storm sewer systems, commonly referred to as MS4s. Nearly all municipalities in New Jersey have a municipal stormwater general permit, which is commonly called the MS4 permit. One of the requirements of the permit is the adoption of a municipal stormwater management plan, which describes how a municipality will address stormwater-related impacts of development. The municipality is also required to adopt a stormwater control ordinance to implement the stormwater management plan. Under the municipality's MS4 permit, a major development is defined as 1 acre of disturbance. However, the municipality can adopt more stringent regulations under their plan and ordinance. Therefore, it is important to check the requirements of the local ordinance to identify the definition of a major development. The stormwater control ordinance applies to developments that are subject to the New Jersey municipal land use law, as well as municipal projects that are not. These projects must be reviewed and approved by the municipality prior to construction. Additional information about the municipal stormwater program and the applicability of post-construction stormwater management requirements will be provided in the stormwater management through the municipal separate storm sewer system permit module. One of the requirements of the MS4 permit is compliance with the Residential Site Improvement Standards, or RSIS. The RSIS are a set of requirements established by the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, which govern all residential site improvements pursuant to the New Jersey Municipal Land. Compliance with stormwater management rules is one of the provisions of the RSIS. The RSIS defines a major development as any development that results in the disturbance of one or more acres. Therefore, any residential development that disturbs one or more acres requires compliance with the design performance standards and stormwater management rules and must be reviewed and approved by the municipality prior to construction. The Division of Water Quality also issues similar permits to highway agencies and public complexes which own and operate small municipal separate storm sewer systems. The highway agency permit applies to entities which operate highways and other roads, such as the New Jersey Department of Transportation, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, and each of the 21 counties. The public complex permit applies to large publicly owned complexes which discharge stormwater, including hospitals, prisons, and universities. The definition of a major development under these permits is any development that disturbs one or more acres of land. Highway agencies and public complexes are self-certifying entities. Therefore, major developments undertaken by highway agencies and public complexes require compliance with the design performance standards in the stormwater management rules, but are not reviewed by the municipality or municipalities in which they are located. In addition to the previously discussed regulations, some developments may require review from the NJDEP Division of Land Use Regulation. Major developments that require a permit under the Coastal Area Facility Review Act, the Flood Hazard Area Control Act, the Waterfront and Harbor Facilities Act, or the Freshwater Wetlands Protection Act may also require compliance with the stormwater management rules. Under the Division of Land Use Regulation, a major development for stormwater management is defined as any project that results in the disturbance of one or more acres of land or increases the impervious coverage by 1/4 acre or more. All major developments which require one of these permits are reviewed for compliance by the NJDEP Division of Land Use Regulation, regardless of whether they are considered a major development by local regulations. As shown in the diagram, developments requiring one of the above permits, which meet only the threshold of 1/4 acre of additional impervious coverage, will be reviewed only by the Division of Land Use Regulation, as this trigger does not apply to local regulations. However, if the development meets either of the state triggers for major development and the local trigger for major development, the project must be reviewed by both entities. Thank you for watching the applicability presentation in this series about the stormwater management rules. For more information, please watch the other videos in this series entitled Stormwater Management Planning, Design Performance Standards, and Safety Standards for Stormwater Management Basins, as well as the module Stormwater Management through the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System.
Sure.
That's it.
That's it.
So as you mentioned, the whole issue with the bike path, finance, the engineers, everybody else fighting over this. We have no say, but yeah, we
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
know it's 7 minutes, but
Well, the funny part is, yeah, this doesn't apply to your finance. So I talked about the acre of disturbances and trigger, it's up to 5,000 square feet of impervious, 5,000 square feet of disturbance. So it's a totally different set of apply here.
How much was the grant? 103,000?
The bike path grant?
723.
700?
Yes.
How much is left?
And so you got a separate design assistance grant for 500 something.
Oh, okay.
And then to be clear, we're not doing any of this stuff. And I believe they upped the grant from 700 to like 1.3 million, didn't they? Yeah.
Because it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And then we still might be short. Some money.
So, yeah, we submitted the application based on a set of plans and an estimate that the county put together like. And then, yeah. Pretty much all I did, submit the application.
awesome. Motion or adjourn.
Yeah, it's a long time.
No, it's gonna fix the meeting over.
Did we do a motion?
The recording just continue, you know, press the button back.
Well,
Oh, I don't see that coming.
I will go through it this weekend.
They don't want to look down. Get reading authorized and train people that friends have.
No.
Oh,